how did you gain access to influential leaders or to sponsors? How did you develop those relationships where they were kind of advocating for you as well?
What I found, and this is true of networking, you give more than you get.
Mm,
When you are in a position where you're helping someone, you're providing data for a senior leader that's going to help them make their case, make their presentation. You are available to do this experiment. When you are that person they can count on,
mm-hmm,
suddenly that relationship, they know that this is someone that really cares about the work that they're doing, that supports them,
mm-hmm,
and they're more than likely to then be a great sponsor for you.
mm-hmm.
And that really, in subtle ways, makes a big impact in your career. One of my sponsors, I didn't realize he was my sponsor until I thought about it years later.
Mm,
Um, I was in that role where I was the technical manager for a group, and I was, basically, he was the vice president of all of engineering at the time, and I was consistently meeting our deliverables, presenting data in a way that he could find useful. And when a position came up, he advocated for me, and it was a totally new role in a field that I hadn't been in before.
mm-hmm.
When he first approached me, I basically said, "Oh, I don't know anything about that area." And he was like, "Oh, I'll buy you some books you could learn." And I was sort of like saying no to the opportunity that he was
Right.
giving me. The next day he came back and he said, "Have you thought about it? Because I really want to announce you as the leader of this new initiative that we're starting."
Mm-hmm,
Eventually I said yes, and it was a very successful. I learned so much from this role,
mm-hmm,
but he saw something in me that he believed I would be successful in this role in creating this new technology.
mm-hmm.
And when I look back, that's sponsorships. When someone's willing to take a risk and pull you up and give you that kind of opportunity. And I kind of think back that the reason he probably did that is because he knew that I was, very consistent, high quality work, and
Mm-hmm.
I had been supportive of what he needed to do as well. So sometimes you don't even know who your sponsors will
Right.
be, but that's one way is to, give more than you expect to get back. And that's my advice also for networking.
How did you build your confidence to where you weren't second guessing taking opportunities like the one that your sponsor offered you and things like that, where you started feeling comfortable, where you were raising your own hand and not letting opportunities pass you by?
Yeah, so I had to reconcile the fact that, you know, I was delivering results. I was completing my projects. We were getting things done.
Mm-hmm.
Along the way, I received multiple awards for the technical innovation that we were doing. And so I had to, stop and remind myself, you know your stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Do this. Your point is just as valid as the other guys in this room.
Mm-hmm.
So speak up. You know, I would hear some of their ideas, and some of them are great ideas, but some of them were not. And
Mm-hmm.
so then it was kind of like, how can I not share this idea, because this is what we need to solve this
Right.
problem. And
Mm-hmm.
so just kind of reminding myself that I did have information that was going to be valuable to share.
Mm-hmm.
And if I didn't share it, then we wouldn't make the progress we needed to make. So just over time, having that data to
Mm-hmm.
back up that, yes, my point of view is valid and I need to share that.
Can you give some tips on the best way to do that for those individuals who may be a little hesitant right now to kind of like, toot their own horn a little bit?
Yeah, and again, that's part of the learning. When you
Mm-hmm.
when you kind of start, you don't have any basis to feel comfortable to advocate for yourself. But
Mm-hmm.
as you start getting those proof points and you start progressing in your career, banking on that and using that without bragging,
Mm-hmm.
here's my data, here's my results, here's what I can deliver. How can I help you? I think I can do this for the organization. Um, Being confident about sharing that and asking for what you want.
Mm-hmm.
I want this opportunity to lead this team. I want this promotion, because what I learned is that people can't read your mind. You
Right.
know, like you said, keep your head down, work really hard, and good things will come. Yes, but it might be very slow. If you really
Yeah.
want to accelerate things, you have to speak up and say, this is what I want. This is what I think I can do. This is how I can help this company achieve
Mhm.
this. Um, so along the way, one of the things that, since I'm working in the computer industry,
Mhm.
and one of the main products that we make at Intel is the CPU, the Central Processing Unit,
Mhm.
a little moniker that I developed for my brand is CPU, and that stands for commit, persist, and unite. So
Mm.
commit to be your best self every day. When you show up, do your best work. Persist, persist despite setbacks, because there's going to be a lot of setbacks.
Mhm.
Just keep going. And then unite, because you can't do this alone. You have to have a community, you have to have others around you for support, supporting them. And that combination is, for me, sort of how I've been able to navigate my career as a CPU gal.
What are some tips that you can share that helps you keep pushing forward?
So my frame of reference has usually been in like 5-year increments.
Mhm.
I'm not the type of person that when I first started, I would say, oh, someday I want to be a VP. I
Mhm.
really didn't think that far. I was
Mhm.
basically looking within my sphere of what do I want to achieve next and staying
Mhm.
focused on that. And when I got to that point, new areas would open up, and that would be my next 5-year plan. And
Mhm.
so, as a young engineer, in terms of wanting to grow, in terms of more impact, more
Mhm.
interesting projects, the next round was leading teams and starting to have an impact through others. Um, Halfway through my career, I focused on my goal of having a family, and
Uh-huh.
I have 3 children who are all adults now. They all went into STEM fields and careers as well, which I'm
Amazing.
very proud of.
Uh-huh.
And then as my children were growing, then I started again refocusing on my career.
Mhm.
As they got older, I had the ability to travel all over the world and have even bigger impact on the engineering teams globally at Intel.
Mhm.
And now basically my next 5-year plan, I would love to get onto a corporate board.
Mhm.
So having sort of a shorter time frame, maybe
Mhm.
around 5 years, and then being very focused on what do I need to do for this next goal that I have?
Mhm.
How do I prepare myself? How do I show up? What else do I need to do in order to get to that goal? And that's been my plan, is just smaller steps.
How did you make sure that you stayed ahead of the curve in terms of staying up to speed on the new skills and competencies and, techniques, or just even the tech, the tech world? How did you stay ahead?
One of the things I love doing is reading.
Mhm.
So either reading what's happening in my field, what's happening in competitive industries.
Mm.
And I do this every morning. I basically scan like what is the news in my industry, and I look some interesting articles just so that I can keep abreast of it. In
Mhm.
addition, I try to attend webinars or conferences or just different talks on
Mhm.
other interesting topics, and that helps to kind of show you what other needs are out there. And
Mhm.
as an engineer, you're always looking to solve problems, and so
Mhm.
that's one way to really stay ahead of things, is to just listen to what's happening out there. When COVID first hit,
Mhm.
I think the my immediate reaction was education.
Mm.
How are kids going to have access to technology, especially kids that don't have computers at home? And
Right.
so that was one of the immediate areas that I could foresee. We're going to be in this for a while, and we need to make sure that educational solutions are available, especially to our community. Latino kids may have
Mhm.
less access, less internet at home. And the nonprofit that I sit on, we started having more conversations about that.
Mhm.
So the way to stay kind of in the game is really constantly reading and keeping yourself in the know of
Mhm.
what's happening, and then connecting the dots. Here's what I know about technology.
Mhm.
Here's of the emerging needs, how do we connect the dots to provide solutions and to stay competitive in this area?